team that played for Liverpool in the late 70s, early 80s is comparable to any team, any British side that has performed, any European team, I'll say, that has performed in the last 30, 40 years. And I'm never sure that Liverpool team ever gets the credit for the achievements that they had. We, as Nottingham Forest team, seem to have the Indian sign over them. But Liverpool, for a prolonged period, were exceptionally successful.
I went to England in '75 and we played against, I remember one of the shock results about '77 when Souness and all Dalglish and everybody like that was there, and they were winning everything. They were about to win the title and we beat them 5-1 at Villa Park, and we were 5-1 up at half time. We were a good side. We think we went second, but they won the league by a distance after that. They were just brilliant. They were so professional. They were so good. I mean, they were unbelievably good players. And they took that through to the mid-80s, where again, I had another good spell when Everton bloodied their nose for a bit. But that team, that era, was full of gifted, talented. You go from Hansen, Souness, Dalglish, Rush. I mean, goodness me, 4 like that.
They had some outstanding players, like some Rush, Souness, Dalglish, obviously European Cup winners as well, and those teams of the 80s were outstanding. So myself as a United player during that era, it was a bit daunting going up against them because they knew how to get things done.
Yeah, I was brought in 1980, so ever since I was at Liverpool, we're used to winning trophies. And
the league?
Yeah.
Virtually every year?
Yeah, we in the 80s won it 6 times, you know, and then we were banned then, you know, nothing and all that, but then Everton come along as well. You know, Everton were a fantastic team, but, you know, I just feel it's only when you don't win something, you realise, you know, what's happening, all that, but you expect to win it all the time. In 1990, I would say the squad we had wasn't, I mean, not strong, wouldn't be as strong as today's squad, but wasn't as strong as some teams in the 90s. But what they had the great players, you know, likes of, you know, Barry Benison, you know, Gary Ablett, Steve Staunton. You know, they wouldn't go down as the best players in there, but what they did, they always delivered, and they always upped the game when they were asked to play. You know, and that's why I think we were so successful, because we all helped each other. And these players, you know, wore their heart out for the club and all that, and that's what we had there. Of course, we had match winners and all that, but also need the players there that need to do the nitty gritty, you know, all that. You know, people like, you know, like Ronnie Whelan when he was in there. You know, Ronnie Whelan didn't get the credit from me anyway, what they deserved. It's only when he isn't playing and we maybe weren't winning, people are like, what's happening? Well, maybe because Ronnie Whelan's not playing. No, because it's a bit similar to Jordan Henderson. You know, when they say that sometimes when they're not playing, they get criticised when they're playing, but when they're not playing, they realise, you know, what contribution they make for the team.
When I played for Liverpool, I felt like I played under Bill Shankly, because the tradition of Liverpool, from Bill Shankly to Bob Paisley to Joe Fagan to Kenny Dalglish, they just continued that tradition, that philosophy, everything that went along with that, which meant that when you won a title, you forgot about it because you've got to do it again the next year. So obviously, with hindsight and looking back, had I known it's going to be 30 years, I won't say it would have meant more to me, but I probably would have savoured it more, because of course at the time we didn't think we were never going to do it again for 30 years, or I was not going to do it again the year after that. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, but at the time, the way we actually treated triumph and disaster, because in '89 we lost to Arsenal, but losing the last game of the season, losers' medals, pre-season training July the 7th. That's all Ronnie Moran said, because we had to have that hunger to do it again and again. So when we won the title in 1990, we didn't think, oh, we've got to make sure that, because this could be the next 30 years. We fully expected to win it the next year, and when we didn't, we came second or third. We still expected it. I would say probably when it got to 95, 96 is when I probably thought, well, we're not going to win it in my time.
I think early on in the Premier League, I think they took their eye off the ball. I think whoever owned them, whoever was making decisions, thought, we're Liverpool and we'll just keep going. But what happened is the Manchester Uniteds, the Arsenals, particularly those two, got their act together. prepared to spend money, prepared to invest in talent, prepared to move the game forward. And I think they caught Liverpool cold, and Liverpool have taken ages to catch up. Ages to catch up. But I think that for a few years of the Premier League, they took their eye off the ball. By the time they got themselves going again, there was a gap between them that should never have been there.
The old Liverpool guard diminished and exited the club. And that long-standing Bible they had on how to follow success at Liverpool got broken up, and then they tried to reinvent it over several years. And then there wouldn't be as much money as other clubs had to buy the players that were needed, until this period of time where the stability of the club and the growth of the club has been taken over a number of years.
Generally speaking, the team that wins the league are maybe the best side. So perhaps they were just better teams. It might just be as simple as that. There were other better clubs. Manchester United were stronger over a whole season. But Liverpool could maybe take them on a maybe just a game by game basis. But at the end of it, when you tot up the points, then Liverpool were short. And they're short because eventually they weren't good enough.
It's a telltale sign for teams when they talk about finishing in the top four. When you hear about a team saying we want to be in the top four, it means fourth, third at best, not first or second. And we became a team who said we've got to be in the top four. Football happened, meaning once the Premier League came about and football changed, whereby if you look at what Liverpool did at the time when they were consistent and they were winning, was they had a consistency of personnel, a consistency of the philosophy of Liverpool, but then football changed. When all of a sudden, every year, you got 5, 6 new players coming in. When I first came to Liverpool in '87, it was a big upheaval because me and Peter Beardsley and Ray Houghton came. It was like 3 players, and it was like, what's going to happen? Because you had the consistency of Liverpool all those years. We managed to maintain that. But then all of a sudden, in the 90s, you then had 6 players leaving, 6 new players coming in. And then you're just going to cross your fingers and hope that it's going to work out. Whereas before, you didn't have to cross your fingers because you had the majority of the successful team players who understood what it was like to play for Liverpool, the history, the pressure, what it took, and then 2 new players coming in, you went along with that. When you get all of a sudden wholesale change of 6, 7 players going, 6, 7 players coming in, you really don't know if it's going to work. And that was just what happened in modern football, because once 93, 94 came and the Premier League started, what then happened was then players just changed clubs all the time, whereas Liverpool team had been together for years and years and years and years. So it's really just the change in football, and Liverpool were very slow to catch up with that change because we were, I won't say we're stuck in the past, but we still like the Liverpool tradition. So any managers came after that had to buy into Liverpool tradition. This is what we did in Liverpool.
When Graham took over, Graham had just come from Rangers. He won the league easily in Rangers, and I think he's maybe tried to change things too quickly when he first came. I think if you asked him now, he'd most probably tell you that as well. For me, he could have been. I think Graham Souness's manager today, he'd be one of the best. Would be the best in the world. But what happened in the early '90s was that a lot of young ones, the young kids on the cop, they're coming along, and they had the older staters like myself, Jan Moby, Ronnie Whelan, John Barnes, and all that. And I think Graham maybe said to the young ones, you're the new ones, put them in, and they weren't winning. You're better than the older ones, and they were losing games. So we had to bring the older ones back and say you're better than the younger ones. And I think he lost the young ones and the old ones, and because he tried to change things too quickly. And I think all his ideas, what Graham had, were right, because he come back from Italy. I knew playing in Italy what it was all about, and all his ideas were right, but he's most probably a bit ahead of his time. He had to do it slowly, and I think he lost. He maybe lost the dressing room then, and when you lose your dressing room, it's always hard to get back.
Graham actually knew, having been in Italy, that the mindset of Liverpool had to change with the Premier League starting, and Liverpool's philosophy was steeped in the boot room psychology. This is how we do it. And football was moving on. And I think Graham knew that. If I was critical of anything Graham did, he might have tried to have done it too quickly. Right? That would be my only, and that's a terrible criticism. He saw it needed changing. He tried to implement the changes, but I think, and he might agree with me, I think he tried to do everything too quickly, and it didn't work for him in that respect.
Roy came over, and then Roy was trying to go back to the old school again. You know, like when Ronnie was there, Ronnie and that, and trying. But Roy was maybe a little bit too nice. And I think you ask these young ones now, well, obviously they got more experience now, where they maybe they should maybe listen to the manager a bit more. You know, when they were doing their own stuff and all that. Because when you're a kid, I was the same when you're a kid, you think you're invincible and all that. You know, but at the end of the day, these supporters are fine as long as you're winning. If you're not winning, they'll ask questions. And that's what the supporters do. It's no good being all this. You know, a lot of them were saying, doing off the pitch rather than on the pitch, because they thought on the pitch, we're going out, we'll go out and winning. But yet then the opposition did get better. So we were getting beat by the opposition. And that's the reason why supporters start asking questions.
I felt we could have won a title between 1990 and 1993. Between 93 and 97, I thought we had the potential to win the title, but I don't think we had the mentality, because the team in 95-96 was a fantastic team. But I always felt, because of coming into April, we were in with a chance to win the title. And I always felt we'd fall away, because when you are, unless you're going to be 25 points ahead like Liverpool, when you are coming into a title challenge with 2 or 3 teams in April, it's not the team who plays the best football, it's the team who's going to get a result, who may not play well but get a draw, play badly and win, grind results out. This is what Manchester United were doing. We had to play well to win. Look at the Newcastle 4-3 and the games we played when we were fantastic, winning 5-0. But then when we didn't play well, we wouldn't win. And it got to the stage between 94 and 97 when people were getting excited in March because we're playing good football and we're only a few points off the top. And I always felt we will fall away because we didn't have that mentality, that discipline to grind results out.
When you arrived here at the club in 1998, did you arrive, and we know about your history with Liverpool, but did you arrive with a real genuine belief that you could win the league for this football club?
No, not really, because we had to rebuild the team and we need some years. But I mean, when I arrived at Liverpool, the people in charge told me the culture of the club is to win trophy, to win silverware. And we didn't do too badly because we won 6 trophies in 6 years. And the first year was not my year, obviously, but we had to rebuild the team, maybe change. Sometimes you have to change things around. And we brought new players that lasted a long time here, like Sami Hyypiä, for instance. I think some very talented young English players were here already with Michael Owen, Jimmy Carragher, and of course Steven Gerrard afterwards. So it was, I had the impression we could win something, but not winning the team. At the time, the battle was with Manchester United and Arsenal, do you remember?
Did you ever feel close? I know you said you finished second.
Yeah, we finished close. I think, normally when you finish over 80 points, now it's far more, but with more than 80 points and above Manchester United, we would think that it would have been it would have been the title, but it was not, because I think Arsenal had us runs as well.
Sir Alex Ferguson is famous for rebuilding his teams and signing players and going through that process constantly of having players ready to be the next generation, and so that it never skips a beat and always evolving and always advancing with the times, and the next generation of players always being in tow with that. And I think that that's what you have to do. It has to be a constant cycle. I feel like there's times where you've got to make tough decisions on big players and move them away for the greater good of the team, and it has to be, it's a complex thing. It's not as easy as just buying players and putting them together. And I think Liverpool have obviously then come up against great Manchester United and Arsenal teams and Chelsea teams and Man City teams. So they probably think they've been very unfortunate. And
a period where clearly they've won cups, so they've won European Cups and Champions Leagues. It hasn't been a bad period, we're not saying. But the league, and I remember my time when we went 26 years without winning a league title, and I was there 4 or 5 years beforehand, coming through the ranks, and every year that it went on that we hadn't won the league, then the pressure built and it got more and more difficult. But once we got to the point and we won it, then that's when it makes it easier for the teams that follow, or the teams that wear the shirt, Man United, and maybe that will happen for Liverpool, certainly in the initial period, I think.
During your time at Manchester United, did you ever see Liverpool as contenders?
Yes, once. I think the season when Torres was striker and they gave us a real title challenge right till the end. I think we always believed we'd win the league. I always felt we were the superior team, and that happened to play out that way. But they did give us a good battle one year. They're always a massive rival, but they weren't really title rivals as such. Maybe one season, and I think then that summer they had a few interesting transfers that they didn't build on, finishing second place and challenging us, and they almost went backwards again, which was disappointing for them and maybe thankful for us.
It was an incredible journey that we had that season. You know, the pride in the football that we played, how close we got. After 38 games, you deserve to finish where you finish, but we played some brilliant football, so many great memories for the team and the supporters that year. To get to the pinnacle and be so close was a great achievement. And like I said, if we had the investment, then it might have been different. So it was just a real shame that we got so close, didn't quite get over the line. But I'll never forget that season in particular, as well as the overall Liverpool experience.
He's a perfect fit as a Liverpool manager. They love him. They love him. I mean, they love Benitez, but as far as he's concerned, Klopp's here now. He's up there with Shankly, Bob Paisley. I'm pretty sure of it, as far as Liverpool fans are concerned.
He gets Liverpool, and Liverpool get him. Liverpool have bought into everything he's doing, because for the first 2 years, his record wasn't better than Brendan's, but the fans gave him the power to drop players, to pick players, to do whatever he wanted, and they supported him, and he can see the outcome of that. Now, when Brendan was here and it didn't win, we would blame him and say he's playing the wrong team, and we would boom and we'd criticise him, which then affects the team, because the players then see he hasn't got the power. Whereas now the players know if he drops Salah, the fans aren't going to boo him, they support him. And the only two teams in the country that gives the manager that power are Manchester City and Liverpool. This is why they're the two best teams. Liverpool haven't got better players than Manchester United necessarily, or Arsenal or Tottenham, but the harmony, the togetherness, the belief and the trust in the manager is there, which means we produce what we do.
When you talk about Bob Paisley, the best thing Bob Paisley had was a boot room staff. You know, the people around him. You know, Joe Fagan, Ronnie Moran, Roy Evans, you know, all that. And everyone knew each other's job. And no one wanted each other's job. And that's it. And I think the team he's got round Jurgen, the team he's got round him, is exactly the same. You know, where he's a leader, but he needs the coaching staff around him, and you can see they're all doing their individual jobs. So that allows Jurgen to concentrate on the man management of the players. Even though tactically, you know, we know what to do. Jurgen will tell them, then they go and do it. Pep will go and do his job as well. So I think it's all around that. So the most important thing for a football manager, in my opinion, is the man management. You know how to handle every individual, because all the individuals, you know, the different mindset and everything and all that, and Jurgen knows how to do that.
He understands Liverpool in terms of what Liverpool fans expect from their team, in terms of the humility, the respect that they have to have for Liverpool itself. The nature of the players that are at Liverpool have to have a humility and a reverence to the club and to their teammates. No superstars in the team. You got superstar individual players for other clubs, but at Liverpool we don't have that, because that is what Scousers like, if you know what I mean. And he has really bought into that.
Last year finished second. He could have won it, because, I mean, in fairness, finishing with 97 points, only one defeat. I think they deserve it, as well as probably deserve it Manchester City on the day. But he finished second. I mean, before him, Brendan Rodgers finished second one.
2014.
Rafael Benitez finished second. We finished second as well. So that means at some stage we knew it was going to come.